Welcome back everyone on a Frugal Tech channel. Now in this video I will have a look at this CPU cooler, the Raijintek Zelos. Now I have bought this CPU cooler some weeks ago and I had never had the time to have a look at it, so let's unbox it right now. Now before we take a look at the cooler itself, let me say something. This cooler is interesting possibility if you have a very low profile system like mine, because as it shows on the box, it is only 44 millimeters tall from the base to the top of the fan. And also, well, it cost me just 21 euros on Amazon, so I think that if this cooler performs nicely, it can be an interesting alternative to the more expensive Noctua NHL9. Let's have a look at the cooler. Okay, so what can we find in the box? The cooler itself, of course, some tools for the mounting, plus some thermal paste which I would never use, not even if I were under torture, and a very slim looking manual. Okay, let's have a look at the cooler. Alright, so the first things that we notice when we look at the cooler itself are, of course, that it is pretty slim. It really is slim. And also we can have a look at the heatsink and the 3 copper heat pipes, which I believe are nickel plated. So if we take a look at the base of the cooler, we see that the surface has been machined or maybe polished, but not mirror polished, and that the heat pipes touch the CPU heat spreader directly. So this is a direct contact design, but the base here and here is not copper. It's not made of copper. It's probably made of aluminum. So we shall see if the thermal performance will be good or else. Also, we have this radiator with aluminum fins, and you can see here on the top a 90 millimeter fan. It is a low profile fan, so it's 15 millimeter tall, as you can see here. Okay. And it has a 4-pin PWM connector, so it will be more silent if you need to. Okay, so this cooler supports socket 775 and 1150X for Intel systems, and from AM2 to AM4 on AMD systems, excluding the AM1 and the TR4 socket. So it's an interesting cooler, I believe, if you have a pretty standard low profile system. Not of course, if you have a power hungry system, this cooler here won't do any good to your system performance, because it can cool up to 75 watt TDP processors, so it is not a good alternative for very power hungry chips. Also, we can see here, I didn't show them to you before, that we have these 2 brackets for the AMD systems, and the brackets for Intel systems are already mounted on the cooler. Okay, so another word about this cooler. Now, as I told you before, the thermal paste that is shipped with this cooler does not look any good to me. Let me show you a good thermal paste for even a regular user. We could use this, Or if you want to go a bit cheaper, you could use this. Now, these thermal pastes are the Arctic MX2 and MX4. They are pretty similar actually. The MX4 is a little bit less thick and is also more thermally conductive, but it's a bit more expensive. So if you don't mind some extra degrees, you could just buy the Arctic MX2 and go for it. But anyway, you could also get different thermal paste, but my suggestion is never use unless you have bought a very nice cooler, not this one, because this, as I told you before, is a pretty cheap cooler. Never use the thermal paste that is sold with the cooler. Just buy something off the shelf. It will cost you from 5 euros to 20 euros if you really need some very high performance stuff, but you will get a much better result. Okay, so with this said, I can say that the unboxing and the first look at this cooler is finally over. Now, in the next video I will show you how this cooler behaves on my system, and maybe, but I can't guarantee you that, I will probably do some other tests with some other low profile coolers to understand if this cooler can be bought without any problem, or if it's just a waste of money. Until then, stay frugal and like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff.